and snowy in Colorado today, hence the get up. However, these two videos coming up, they were during a circle. Now, a circle with a mentor who actually knows what they're doing and is an experienced mentor is going to be more beneficial to you than, like, say, a development circle with a bunch of people that are at your level. Sometimes, even with an experienced teacher, some teachers are better than others, but circle is where the magic happens. So, when I am in circle or when I am in class, I often participate with my students in order to prove to them that I can do what I'm asking them to do. I think it's disingenuous for a teacher to be like, oh, well, I do it every day, or oh, I don't want to do it here, or oh, whatever they say, right? Your teacher, mentor, whatever you want to call it, should be able, at the drop of a hat, in my opinion, be able to do what they're asking you to do. All right, going on. The intelligence of spirit and or energy. So all of us are energy, right? And then once we die and we give up this meat suit, we are then energy as well. But we're energy right now as well. So we're energy, they're energy. Everything has a vibration, a frequency, and kind of an energetic signature, right? So as you're reading and bringing things through, sometimes the intelligence of energy is that you will get a spirit who will bypass the person in the reading and go to someone else in order for the person who's in the reading to give that other person a message. So you have seen this in platform stand-up. You have seen this probably on lives. You've seen this before. When the spirit says, I know the person I want to talk to isn't here, but I know someone who is here that can get the message to the person I want to talk to. Many mediums call that the intelligence of spirit. And yet it's also a beautiful example of a third-party reading, because once you go past grandma, which you'll see in the video coming up, and you get to grandma, to the daughter, we've now gone past grandma and we're in a third-party reading. We don't have permission technically. And again, I'm not a permission-based person, but be very discerning when you listen to these people who are like, oh, I don't read third party, but then they will do exactly what you're about to see in my video. That is a third party reading. As soon as spirit gives you a message for someone who isn't sitting there, that is a third party reading. All right, regardless, these are very touching readings. It will also show you that not everything will always fit like 150%. And on the on the second reading, she does end up realizing what happens 4 years prior, what had happened 4 years prior. And I'll put that in text. I'll go first. I'm not sure if I feel like this might be for Rose or Amy, so I'll just throw that out there first, but I'm not 100% sure. This would have been a miscarriage, and there would have been a grandmother who was alive when this person had the miscarriage, who is very helpful to the person who had the loss. Or you were the grandma and you were very helpful to your daughter or daughter-in-law who had the loss. Does that make sense for anyone in here?
Me.
For you. Was it
Yes.
your grandmother that was very helpful to you?
No.
You were the grandmother you
Yep.
were the grandmother. And then I feel like this was a miscarriage. I do feel like there was a small house and this would have been a baby, or this would have been a first, right? This would have been a first baby for this female. Would you understand that?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Okay, I'll keep going, then I'll explain.
Okay. I do feel like the money wasn't necessarily there. I do feel like this woman, was living in a bit of a small house. I do feel like she had a lot of fear around not necessarily knowing whether her health and how babies, how would I put that? She had only seen kind of some bad health stories regarding the birth of babies, and so she had some fear wrapped around that. Would you understand that?
Sort of.
Sort of? Okay.
Well, I mean, there's just yes, you're on point, but on a different avenue.
Okay, I'll get your feedback in just a second. I do feel like there was a lot of boys in the extended family, whether that was from the father of the child or her own extended family. I do feel like there was a lot of male energy around.
Yes.
Okay. I do feel like she lost this baby before the third trimester, so it didn't necessarily, like, there was no medical intervention that was needed because it was more of a natural sloughing off, if you will. Would you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't necessarily get a message. Hold on. I can't tell if this person is still in your life or not. I feel like there's been a kind of a distance or a moving on from this person, and a message isn't necessarily pertinent. Does that make sense?
No,
Not that part? Okay.
no.
All right. So go ahead and give me some feedback
My daughter had a stillborn before the third trimester.
before the third trimester. Okay.
Boys, she already has two boys.
Okay.
This was her first daughter, which I paid for her to have a 3D ultrasound. She was
Oh,
ecstatic. Yeah. And a week later, little
uh,
Miss little Miss
I got the
Carly left.
chills.
Little Miss Carly left. And
Mm,
I stayed in the hospital. The baby would not come out. And they tried a lot of, giving her medicine and stuff, and she wouldn't come. And I told my daughter, because she doesn't, I mean, yes, does she use me with my ability? Yes. Does she walk into it? No, no, no. She's just like, I don't know what's wrong with you. You're nuts, but it's cool. Okay. With that being said, I stayed in the hospital for 4 days, and I said, honey, I know you don't believe like me. She doesn't want to leave you. You have to give her permission.
mm.
Give her permission to go.
Oh, I just got chills. So there was medical, so that's why the medical intervention came through. That there
Yes.
was medical, and
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah. Yeah.
I just have the chills. Wow,
Yeah. Yeah. That was deep. That was so. And she
yeah,
has yeah, she has nothing but male energy in that house, and but everything she owns is pink. So, there's that. But
yeah.
yeah.
So let me just,
Yeah.
I think this was, and the reason I was just pausing there really fast is because there's some female people in your life that I feel like this baby, if you will, was kind of coming back as, and I don't necessarily see who it is. But do you have would your one of your grandmothers, whether it was this level or the great grandmother, would you understand that you had a certain Jesus Christ, for some reason you liked one of your grandmothers more than others, and you really had some sort of like a tie, almost like you look like her, you act like her, you think these are the talents that came from her. Would you understand that?
Yep. I
I
called
feel
her
like
mom.
that's I feel like that's who this
Mhm.
female was going to come back as.
Wow.
Yeah, that's where I was. Well, I had a hard time spitting that shit out, didn't I? Whew.
Yeah, she raised me until she died.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Deep.
Well, let's keep going. Maybe I should have
Thank
went.
you.
So back
Yeah,
to
you
your
went.
point that you pick where you want to go and incarnate in where you want to go.
So
Just saying.
that's, I think that was part of my hesitation, Tara, because I was trying to ask if that was the case and you were coming back, why didn't you make it? So that's my
Oh.
hesitation in giving that information, because I agree. But what I'm asking her is then what happened? And I keep getting and this kind of go and now I'm trying to say, am I filling in the blanks? Because what I'm getting is sometimes, regardless of whether you want to come back or not, it isn't physically sometimes possible. But that's very convenient for everything I've said this morning. So I'm hesitating to bring that message through because it's just too convenient for me, right? I'm bringing through the very message that kind of backs up what I was saying all day. That.
Well, but it could be a combination of what we're talking about, right? I think it's a combination of not only the energy, but also what you were talking about this morning. I think you're right on in some of the points. And I think doing more of these types of readings will help us fill in those blanks.
Rose, your daughter had some health issues that didn't come out until a few years after this, didn't she?
Yep.
And this would have been actually very, very, oh shit, I just got chills.
Mhm.
She
Mhm.
could have, okay. She ended up discovering later on some stuff that
Yep.
had she had this baby, it may have been very detrimental to her.
To my daughter's health.
Yes. Do you understand that?
Yep. Yep.
Damn, this shit is cool. I love this shit.
Yep. Yep.
And so she, for lack of a better term, turned around and went back home.
Wow.
Wow. Just
For
know,
love. That
yeah,
was love, like
yeah,
100% love.
yes. That's a really good way to put it, Tara. Ooh. Whew. Wow. She made that decision because your daughter was still needed for you and her boys.
Wow.
Wow, that's okay. We really be wrong. So if this doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. But I did get I do feel like the miscarriage was a girl. I do feel like your daughter's pelvis is very small. Would you understand she doesn't have birthing hips, so to speak? Does that make sense for you?
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
She didn't get my giant ass.
I got like the opposite of that. I got that her pelvis just isn't okay. Well, let me ask you this because I do feel like she has children today, though. Did she have further children?
Yeah.
And was it 2 boys?
No.
Okay. I like how you're not. She's like, I'm not giving you any more info. Okay. I do get that at the time of the miscarriage, obviously she was with a man of some sort, but there was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of upsetness. There was a lot
Yes.
of, yes. Okay. I do feel like she was very torn. She did absolutely, like, she wanted the baby, but then she was afraid to want the baby. Does this make sense? Like, and so the baby was wanted, but then at the same time almost not wanted, if this makes sense.
Correct.
I feel like your daughter was very torn just in general. And I do feel like there was some medical issues, possibly gestational diabetes. Would you understand this? Sugar
Yes.
issues.
Mhm.
And then I did feel that that it was that type of medical reason, almost as if our body protects ourselves. And it was that medical reason is the reason that she didn't necessarily make it here at that time, but that somehow your daughter did bounce back, if you will, if that makes sense, and she does have children today. And I did put 2, and I put 2 boys, so you can give me you can give me a few.
Okay, so she was pregnant with twins. We do feel like that they were boys. We don't know that for certain. And then she went and had a girl. So I think it was
Okay.
the reverse.
Okay. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, chills. But the rest of it was pretty dead on.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So definitely the message for her, and as always, you guys can show this to the people that we're talking about, obviously. First of all, obviously, thank you to your daughter for letting us. I do feel like when they let us read them like this, it's kind of their higher selves saying, sure, why not? She still holds guilt over that because she felt that the way that it was a wanted, that back and forth, she feels like she almost willed herself. Sorry. She was extremely emotional about this.
Mm-hmm.
And she felt like she willed herself into a miscarriage. And that is not what went down. And so she should definitely kind of let that go. Let kind of that portion or that baggage from that time, she could let that go. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want her feeling like that.
She is so young, and I think that was a general feeling of many people in the family was like, you know, is she, capable of handling this right now in her life, in her current situation? I think that guilt was spread around.
Gotcha.
So not only from her, but from, everyone in the family that was like,
Gotcha. Yeah.
when you have a young, unplanned
Yeah.
pregnancy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I really got the medical issues came through very, very strongly, and that was the reason. It wasn't how she felt. It wasn't her ambivalence that quote caused anything. And so
Right.
she still carries that with her a little bit, even though she, I feel like this was 6 years ago, 4 years ago,
A little longer than that.
a little longer than that.
Mhm.
Was there something that happened about 4 years ago that, well, I can't place it. Something about 4 years ago that this would have come up again for some reason. Anyway, we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then